In this video, I'm going to be covering BlackBerry stock and as to what resistance levels it needs to pass, where it will have issues, and what resistance level it needs to pass as well to indicate that the run-up is relatively, even though it's going to be going up, relatively in what good shape it is to continue to more upside overall. There's two important levels. I'm going to go over that in this video. And also in terms of support level, what levels can it rely on if it goes down to bounce off of, hopefully, and potentially be a good entry position level point if you want to enter more positions, potentially. I'm going to go over also volume and Wall Street bets because during this time it is important as well. Close at $13.86 as of June 4th, 2021. Pre-market's looking great right now. And quick disclaimer before I continue, I'm not a financial advisor, I'm not a professional. Everything I do share with you is just my opinion, it is not advice. So please do your own due diligence and research before buying and selling. Now, right now at the moment, in terms of Wall Street bets, the reason why it's actually before I get to that, I'm gonna go in terms of the downward trend resistance lines and then resistance lines in general because I'm gonna mention the two important ones first, and then I'm gonna mention Wall Street bets, and then I'm gonna mention the downward, like in terms of support levels on the downside. Now, in terms of the downward trend resistance line right here, you can see got knocked down here, here, couple touch points, and a touch point right here as well. Broke through it during the pre-market, which is awesome. Passed two moving averages, so that's great too as well. Now meeting the downward trend resistance line right here. So it has a touch point right here, two touch points right here, touch point right here. Hopefully passes it. It requires to be passing around 1460, 1470 price point, which we're testing right now at the moment. So visually how it'll look like if it does not pass it, it'll just get knocked down right here and then go to the downside. Maybe bounce off support here, and all stuff. So I'll cover the support soon, but hopefully it passes around 1465, 1470 when I measured it. Next level is the moving average right here. Could act as resistance around the 1490 price point when I measured it, which coincides with the horizontal resistance levels around the 1490. If you've seen my past videos, I believe it was like the 7th video a while ago. So around 1490. Then in general, the $15 price point, low $15 price points will act as horizontal resistance as well. So around this ballpark, even if we pass this downward trend resistance line, we could potentially have a good amount of false breakouts where we'll probably get knocked down. Hopefully, even if we do get knocked down, we could rely on this downward trend resistance line as support and then go to the upside, which coincides with Wall Street bets, which I'm going to mention soon because that is important. And we can, I think volume is going to be kicking in, even though it has been decreasing as of the last trading day because it was massive prior to the last trading day, but I think it'll tick up again. I'll just mention it right now. So Wall Street bets, in terms of BlackBerry stock, has been number one or number two back and forth in terms of the most mentioned stock and all stuff and the most excitement and everything. So I think volume will be picking up once again, and these resistance levels are not much of concern, which leads me to the next one. So we had an upward trend support line right here, and you can see, like, for example, like a touch point right here came down, bounced off to the upwards support, bounced off here, bounced off here. So there's quite a few in here as well. So upward trend support line unfortunately did break it, but we need to get back up to it. So if you were to get back up to it, yes, there's resistance between $15 to the $16 price point, but there might be resistance around the $16 price point, low $16 price point, not exactly 16, and hopefully breaks through and gets back up to support. Now, if it does it later, which I'm anticipating it will do later, it's not going to do it right off the bat once it opens, then you're looking at mainly you want to clear around the 1650 by midday at least. Passing, it's going to be resistance around the $16.30, $16.30, $16.50, but you want to pass around 1650 at least by midday. Later on, you want to pass around $17.30, $17.50. Now that's the first indication. The first is 1650 essentially, but the first indication that yes, we're getting past turbulence in a way. So $17.30, $17.50. Now you're looking good, but all is not clear yet because these are the two major levels. So again, there's more resistance levels in between, but I'm trying to cover the major ones where they're the major milestones, right? So the first main one, like major one, is around 1830 to 1850, which is crazy. They all coincide with 30 and 50, but it just happens to be the case. So around 1830, 1850, maybe low $18 price point. You can see horizontally here, it got knocked down twice. So on the run up, got knocked down, and on the downside, it got knocked down as well. And so 1830, 1850 is a great sign. This is the problem. It could potentially get short-lived. And I'm going to show, this was the 5-year chart. Here's the 1-month chart. If it could, yeah, perfect. Okay. So here's the January 2021 And again, this is 1 month chart. And then here's June 3rd, 2021. It got knocked down twice. I know it only has 2 touch points, but it potentially, let's just say it runs up today, right, on June 4th, 2021, or June 5th, sorry, but June 7th. I'm missing the thing. So June 7th, 2021, let's say it runs up, it might get knocked down around the $19 price point. It might not see the $20 price point. And if it does, it could be a false breakout in the low $20 price point and get knocked down. So like 12, I think it was like 12. All right, sorry about that. $20.12, $20.20, or $20.57 or something like that. So basically around mid-low $20. Hopefully you know what I'm saying by $20, not 12. Every time I kept on saying 12 right now recently, I meant $20. So if it might, I think it's probably going to get stuck around the $19 price point, potentially get knocked down. Now hopefully it relies on support level and then breaks through the downward trend resistance level. Now there is a good chance, because if you look at the 1 month chart right here, by the way, it is, the MAC line is in the positive. The MAC line indicates if it's bearish or bullish movement. So in terms of the 1 month movement, it is up in the positive. So it is bullish and it is optimistic. Now, in terms of the 3 month, I believe it's the same too. Okay, so almost. So it's in the bearish territory at the moment. So this is still a great sign in my opinion. It's trying to cross over to the positive, and it's bearish right now. It's in the negative, but you can see it's lighter shades of red, plus decreasing in size. So once it crosses over to positive, it would be bullish and optimistic. Is it a guarantee? No. It could get knocked down and continue to the downside, so be aware of that. It's not all sunshine and rainbows technically yet, until it fully crosses over. Now this is the issue. In terms of the 1 year chart is an issue. 5 year chart, I'm going to show one more optimistic thing. It crossed over to the bullish, and it's optimistic. This to me is a massive sign, because that means there is more upside to come. This is just getting started, in my opinion. Doesn't mean that every single day is going to be green. It means that yes, there will be some red days as well, or not, doesn't mean that, but just be aware there are red days as well. It doesn't mean all green days, but in terms of overall movement, in terms of the 5 year movement, it's just getting started in terms of hypothetically the run up overall. That's just my opinion though. Keep in mind, it's not advice. But the problem is, this is the issue. The 1 year chart, the 1 year movement, it kind of did curve down. It is a little bit negative, well, not negative, but it did become a lighter shade of green, and it did decrease in terms of the bar. So that's a little bit worrisome. But in terms of the short term and the long term, they're looking good. But in terms of the midterm, it's a little bit potentially an issue. Potentially, it could continue on the upside. Where if I could see an example, I can't see an example right now. Actually, you can see it right here. So this is not really a great example, but it decreased and potentially was going to cross over to the negative, but then it bounced back up to the positive again. So that is a potential. Now, if we go to the 5 day chart again, those are the upsides. Those are the levels that need to be passed. Now, in terms of support, you could rely on for example, the low $14 price point support, the $13.50 that I mentioned in the past. Yes, there is more support in between, and then $14.50 as well. But basically, because given where we're at, you're going to have support around the $14 price point. I'll also mention these moving averages. So $14.09, roughly, give or take a few cents. $13.88 as well. Around that price point could act as support as well. But again, $13.50 you're looking at. And the next level you're going to be looking at is, yes, $13 price point, but the next major support level is around the $12.50. I'm not anticipating it to go down to $12.50, but there is a chance. You got to be aware of that. Just because I think Wall Street bets and volume and all stuff will pick up where that might not be seen. There is a chance though, because for example, downward trend resistance line right here, you can see potentially it's getting knocked down too as well. So it could be kept down. The movement overall is still down if you look at it, because if you look at 3 month chart and all stuff, it's still going down, right? So there is a chance to continue to the downside. Now, in terms of the next level, so passing 12.50, it could go down to 12.15, like I mentioned in the past video, 12.15, 12.18. If it does break that level, again, I'm not anticipating it to, but there is a chance it could. Then $11.50 would be your next play, $11.50. Now I'm pretty confident about $11.50. So if you look at the 1 month chart, the reason why I'm saying $11.50, but technically $11 price point, is when it came down to the low $12 support right here in the run up, early phase of the run up. But then after the run up and when it was coming down, it did bounce off the $12 price point, I believe, or no, it just went clean through it. Okay, so potentially it could go clean through it, but it acted as $11.50 as support first, and then hit the low $11 price point, and then went back up. So that is a potential, but I personally think 12.15 would be the absolute lowest, especially given that we're more of the run up, I guess, in my opinion, given the 5-year chart, even though we're on the downside right now. So you got to be a little bit worrisome and be careful in case if it continues to the downside. Hopefully you liked the video. Hopefully you found it helpful. If you did, consider dropping a like. It does help with the channel, so thank you so much for that. I appreciate it. If you have any questions, do not hesitate to ask. I'll try to answer them as soon as possible. And if you like videos like this or other stock videos or other financial videos, consider subscribing to be notified when I do upload those videos. And that's basically it. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.